Assalamualaikum and good afternoon all. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, good. We wait some more for your friends to join in. Okay, at 12 o'clock, then we'll start. Okay. Okay, class. So we'll start our class today. We will have today's topic hazard analysis critical control points, okay, which is also known as HACCP. Okay, so this is basically a food safety system. So later on when you are working in the industry, if your company says they have HACCP, meaning they are implementing the system that called hazard analysis critical control points at their premise, okay, for their production process. Okay, and this system require participation from the operators, from the quality control department, from the top management, and require documentation, okay, monitoring, and so on that we will learn in this topic. Okay. So let's first take a look what is actually the HACCP system. It is a system to identify. So first you want to identify or you want to kenal pastilah, okay, evaluate and control the food safety hazard. So the food safety hazard, we have already learned this, okay, in the past few weeks, which are the biological hazard, the chemical hazard, and the physical hazard. Okay, perhaps I can ask one of you what is an example for physical hazard. Okay, let me try Anis Azrin. Anis Azrin ada tak?
Yes, doctor.
Ya, Anis boleh bagi contoh physical hazard tak?
Example, like glass.
Betul. Okay, kelas betul. Okay. Seterusnya, may I ask Azmir Tamim, contoh chemical hazard.
Yes, teacher.
Okay.
Um,
Chemical,
chemical hazard, natural toxic.
betul. Okay, toxin, betul. And another one would be biological hazard. Biological hazard, Carmen.
Sekejap.
Apa-apa. Biological ialah benda hidup lah contohnya.
Microorganism.
Betul, microorganism lah. Okay, microorganism ada beberapa lagi grup iaitu bacteria, virus, parasite, okay, and juga apa ni kulat, okay, mold ataupun mold and yeast, okay. Alright, okay, good. We have already mastered that on the hazard. Okay, so this is a system that help you to identify, evaluate, and control this hazard from occurring in your process. So hazard analysis critical control point ni fokus dia ialah kepada proses, okay, proses production process tu, okay. If you perhaps have already watched my previous recorded lecture on GMP, Good Manufacturing Practice, that is another system, also food safety system. That one is to control the hazard in the ambient ataupun in the environment. Okay, so kalau kita ada satu kilang makanan, kita ada proses pembuatan makanan. Proses pembuatan tu berada dalam satu environment lah ataupun dalam premise. So environment tersebut untuk kita pastikan keselamatan, maksudnya environment tu tak memberi apa-apa hazard kepada proses. Environment tu kita control melalui GMP ataupun Good Manufacturing Practice. Okay, yang tu ada dalam lecture saya yang sebelum ni. Okay, so try tengok baliklah ya saya punya recorded lecture tu. Kalau yang mana-mana tak faham boleh tanya nanti. Okay, but HACCP ialah lebih kepada proses dia, iaitu proses awal raw material tu diterima sampai jadi final product. Okay, how do we control hazard in that process? Okay, alright. Okay, so HACCP system is implemented by the manufacturers, okay, food manufacturers, can also be implemented by retailers, okay, by food service contohnya restaurant, okay, catering, or any other business in the food supply chain. Okay. So HACCP ni origin dia macam mana? Okay, surprisingly ataupun interestingly, the origin of HACCP is from NASA, okay, from the US space program. Okay, so in 1990s like that, the US space, the NASA, they wanted to send their first human on space space flight. Okay, so they need to ensure that their astronaut have supplies of safe food. So how do they make sure the safety of the food for their astronaut? They develop this HACCP system. Okay, so after that, because of the success of the HACCP system, the HACCP then were accepted lah by the industries until now. Okay. So basically HACCP, the concern is that we want to prevent any foodborne disease. Okay, foodborne disease ialah penyakit bawaan makanan. Maknanya penyakit tersebut disebabkan oleh makanan that we consume. Okay, so HACCP want to prevent this from reaching the consumer lah. Okay. So continue again, what is HACCP? So HACCP is a systematic approach that ensure food safety rather than traditional inspection procedure. Okay, what does that mean? That would mean previously, before the HACCP system, we only have traditional inspection procedure. Maksudnya, we only inspect the final product. Okay, when all the process has been completed and when the final product is there, then we inspect the product according to certain criteria. But the weakness in such method is that if any error ataupun if any defect at the final product, we do not know how things have gone wrong. Okay, at which process actually that contribute to the defect of the final product. Okay, because the final product has dah complete kan the process. So kita tak tahu dekat mana kesilapan semasa proses yang menyebabkan produk makanan kita rosak. Okay, so HACCP system is another method lah, that replace the traditional inspection procedure, and the HACCP system is based on science, which we will take a look on this later, and it is more on the prevention method. Okay, it prevent the problem before they occur. So HACCP ni kaedahnya ialah ia sedaya upaya mengelakkan makanan tercemar melalui proses-proses, melalui kawalan proses. Okay. Jadi sebelum berlakunya pencemaran makanan, kita dah kawal dulu proses supaya pencemaran tersebut tak berlaku. Okay. Alright. So for the industry, why has sorry, not for all lah, okay, for the public, for the industry, okay, for the nation, why HACCP is important? Because of the food safety concern, okay, because we want to make sure food safety. Because also nowadays the public, the consumer, they have also become more aware on this HACCP, and they expect our products are certified with HACCP. So if you are the company and you manage to successfully establish HACCP system at your factory, then your product can be certified with the HACCP system. Okay, so how to know? You can check certain product in the market. Okay, if they have logo HACCP, meaning the factory has already implemented the HACCP system, and the safety of the product can be guaranteed lah. Okay. And another important is on the market accessibility. Okay, because HACCP is accepted worldwide. So when it is accepted worldwide, it becomes the requirement for the product to access international market, local market of course lah. Okay, so it's kind like kalau dalam bahasa apa mudahnya, it's like a passport lah for that product to access global market. Okay, when the product has HACCP. Okay. So as industry, if they want to implement HACCP, okay, because in Malaysia this is not mandatory. Okay, HACCP has not been enforced as a mandatory, hanya sebagai standard. Maknanya industri mempunyai pilihan lah sama ada dia nak implement HACCP ataupun tidak. Okay. Walau bagaimanapun setiap industri mesti ada satu sistem untuk menjamin keselamatan. Okay. Sistem tersebut kita panggil secara general ialah Food Safety Management System, and one of it ialah HACCP. Okay. Jadi industri ada pilihan lah untuk pilih mana-mana food safety system yang lain. Walau bagaimanapun HACCP ni kita dah tahu it is recognized worldwide. Jadi ianya sangat digalakkan lah untuk apply HACCP. Okay. Okay, so industri kalau dia hendak implement HACCP, they have to take the ownership of the HACCP system. Maksudnya dia kena understand clearly on the HACCP principles and must have the committed toward the implementation and also the maintenance. Okay, because HACCP ni is continuous. You cannot just set up the system and let it run once. But you have to maintain the system, okay, throughout the whole life cycle of the product lah. Okay, so and why commitment is important? Because HACCP ni comes with many requirements. Okay, not only cost, but also requirement for your staff. Okay, you have to provide a team to monitor HACCP. Okay, you have to train your operators to practice HACCP. Okay, so commitment is important lah, and it must start with the top management. Okay, allocate resource. Okay, provide sufficient resource, and also continuous quality improvement. Okay, from time to time, you have to review your system whether it is still effective or need improvement. Okay. Okay, so what do you need to master before you implement hazard? Okay, physical, chemical, biological hazard, we already know this. Okay, source of food hazard ataupun factor contributing to their occurrence. Okay, this one later on as you are working, you gain more experience, then you also become familiar lah with the source of this hazard. Okay, contohnya kalau glasses tadi, physical method yang kawan kita sebut tadi, glasses, dia punya source kemungkinan ialah contohnya ialah daripada defect packaging materials, okay, packaging yang daripada glass, ataupun boleh juga daripada kita punya supplier, okay, yang deals dengan kaca, okay, pembekal kaca dan sebagainya. Okay. So method to control, okay, ada beberapa method untuk can control. This one also we need to master before we can develop hazard system. Okay, contohnya kalau glass tadi, you can control the food hazard. For example, when you receive your glass material, you check first whether they are broken ataupun ada apa-apa defect. If they are broken glasses, then you have to send back to your supplier. That is one way to control. Okay. Another way to control, maybe you have an X-ray system in your production process where you can detect any glass fragments in your product. Okay, so that is another method lah using technology. Okay, so HACCP contains 7 principles. Okay, anywhere you go in this world, you will only see these 7 principles. Okay, so these 7 principles we will learn in our next lecture, because before we conduct the 7 principles, we need to understand the preliminary steps. Okay, so there are preliminary steps that you have to perform first before you start right away with the HACCP principles. Okay, so when you plan to have HACCP, meaning your management have to express their commitment, okay, to do the HACCP. They have to set their food safety policy, okay, formulate food safety policy, scope and objective. Okay, scope ni maksudnya which product, okay, for example you have a range of product, which product that you want to apply HACCP. Okay, mungkin ada beberapa production line yang you rasa tak boleh apply HACCP because requirement is too strict for that production line. Okay, so you exclude this production line and the products from your HACCP scope. Okay. Okay, so when the management has agreed to proceed with the HACCP system, the first thing that you have to do, you have to assemble the HACCP system. Okay, before that, maybe if you notice here, there are clause here, clause 5.11, clause 5.123. Okay, why? Because this clause are contained in our Malaysian standard, which is called Malaysian Standard 1480 on HACCP. Okay, I'm going to share with you how does the standard looks like. Nanti saya akan masukkan dalam Putra Blast juga lah. Okay. Okay. So I think you can see it now. So this is the Malaysian standard, okay, related to hazard analysis and critical control point. So all the requirement related to HACCP is contained in this standard. Okay, so what I'm going to explain to you later is already contained in the standard. Okay, so as you can see here, these are the forward and then these are the contents. Okay, general requirement, terms definition, reference, prerequisite program. Prerequisite is basically usually is the GMP lah. Okay. HACCP system requirement, maintenance. So in all this main section, there are requirements. Okay, requirements, detailed requirements on how to apply HACCP. Okay, so the numbering here refer to the clause lah, clause 4.1, clause 4.1.1, okay, 4.1.2. So if your company would like to implement HACCP, they have to buy a hard copy, at least one hard copy of this Malaysian standard, and make it available at their premise. Okay. Because later on, after they have implement the system, they will have to invite an auditors, okay, auditors from SIRIM ataupun from the Ministry of Health to audit the HACCP system. Okay, so the audit will be conducted based on this requirement. Okay, clause 6.3 to 6.3.2.1 and all. Okay, so I'm going to share back the slide. Here. Okay, so the numbering here refer to the clause in the Malaysian standard just now. Okay, sekejap I have interruption. Okay, so again, continue. Okay, so first you have to assemble the HACCP team. Okay, you have to have a group of people. Okay, but if your company is so small, the HACCP team can be only one person saja. Okay, only one person. But if you are a big company, then you will have several team members lah. Okay, and then describe the product. Okay, we will take a look on how to do the product description. Identify the intended use of the product. So this one is usually combined with the product description. Okay, and then construct the flow diagram. And then lastly, on-site confirmation of the flow diagram. And after we have done all the 5 steps, the preliminary steps, then we will proceed with the HACCP implementation. Okay. Okay, so first the assembly of the HACCP team. Okay, so HACCP team are people that responsible to develop the system, the documentation, and communicate the requirement of the HACCP system to the overall to the all staff. Okay, so this team can be very small, only one person if a micro company, and can be of multiple people lah. Okay, 5 to 6 macam tu. Okay, and they have HACCP coordinator ataupun HACCP leader, and also the members. So these members must be trained first. Okay, they must attend training on HACCP first. Okay, to understand the requirement. Okay, and this team must be provided with the necessary resources. Okay, they have to be provided with the training, okay, with the documentation system, with the budget. Okay, and HACCP team must report and produce documentation. Okay, so if the company, they do not have the resources or do not have the expertise to carry out the HACCP, then it is also common for the management to seek assistance from the external expert. Okay, maksudnya dia outsource kepada company luar. Okay, katakanlah company you tak berapa expert dalam implementation of HACCP, sebab HACCP ni quite complicated lah juga. Okay, what you can do is you can appoint consultant, okay, company consultant, di mana company consultant tu akan cuba akan develop lah HACCP system for you. But first, of course, they need to come to your factory, understand your product, understand your process. But in my experience, ideally ialah your company, I mean the staff of your company ataupun your company yourself is the HACCP team. Okay, bukan daripada konsultan luar lah. But it is common for our industry ataupun mana-mana industri lah untuk appoint mana-mana konsultan luar. Okay, so HACCP team is a multidisciplinary HACCP team. Okay, so HACCP team ni selalunya terdiri daripada mereka daripada quality control, okay, daripada production, okay, daripada maintenance pun boleh, okay, asalkan mereka receive training dalam HACCP lah. Okay. So tapi usually the leader ialah from with the background of food lah. Okay, either from background of food technology ataupun food engineering ataupun process. Okay. Documentation, okay, must be carried out. So physically you implement the system in the process, but you must also have documentation. Okay. Okay. So after you have assembled the team, now you have to understand your product. So to understand your product, you must describe your product. Okay. So the description must include the name and type of the food product. How is it to be used? Okay. Adakah you punya produk ni hanya sebagai ingredients? Okay. Ataupun you punya produk ni is for the consumer, for consumption. Okay. Type of package, okay, packaging dia can be in pouch ke plastic pouch, can be in glasses, okay, can be in metal cans. Where will it be used? Okay, where will it be used ni, contohnya katakanlah you supply product for the restaurant ataupun for the food service, then the answer for this question would be food service. If you are supplying your product to the direct consumers, then it will be the answer is the consumers lah. Okay. Length of shelf life, at what temperature? Okay. So the length of shelf life, you must include the information about the shelf life and what condition that this shelf life is valid. Okay, contohnya kalau makanan frozen, the shelf life normally is 18 months, but the temperature must be maintained at katakanlah minus 12 ataupun minus 20. Okay. Labeling instruction, of course, labeling instruction you must include for your final product. In the labeling instruction, there are certain information that you need to state. For example, the list of ingredients, okay, the shelf life again, and then also the handling, the procedure to handle your product, okay, how to consume your product, must it be cooked first, okay. So and lastly is special distribution control needed. Okay, some product require, for example, cold temperature in the logistic. So this must be stated in your product description. Describe the intended use, okay, and consumers of the food. Okay, this is actually part of the product description. This information usually we combined in the product description. Okay, kalau dalam documentation, maklumat-maklumat ni disertakan bersama-sama dengan product description. Okay, contohnya soalan pertama, what is the intended use? Okay, intended use, kalau kita bekal kepada retailers, then we have to say lah, the product is supplied to retailers, to food service, okay, ataupun to other industry, yang process industry. What is the potential for mishandling? The potential for mishandling, we also have to give the information. For example, your product can be damaged if the temperature is too warm. Then you have to state this information. What handling and preparation procedure? Okay, preparation procedure, step by step on how to prepare your product. And then who are the intended consumer? Okay, this one is also important. Whether your consumer is the general consumer or whether your consumers is babies. For example, you are making babies product kan, food product for babies. Ataupun consumers you mempunyai specific consumers, contohnya consumers yang ada penyakit diabetik. Okay, so you have to know lah who are your intended consumers for your product. Okay. And number 4, after you have understood your product, you have developed your product description and intended use, then you proceed with the flow diagram, okay, ataupun block diagram. Okay, you have to develop this block diagram lah. Okay, here are one of the example block diagram for the burger patties. Okay, so it must begin with the intake ataupun receiving. Okay. Maknanya you tak boleh terus start dengan grinding, blending. It must start with the receiving of the material from the supplier. So when the raw material comes to your factory, that is called receiving ataupun intake. Okay. And then after that, it goes to storage. So you have to list out lah. Okay, storage chiller ke, freezer ke, ataupun dry storage ke. Okay. And then selepas storage ialah on the production, during the production. What happened during the production? Okay, so all the processes during the production until packing, palletizing, and then the final product storage again, and then lastly dispatch ataupun delivery to your customers. Okay, so this is a complete flow diagram. Okay. Okay, after you have developed the flow diagram, okay, the step number 4 happen actually theoretically. Okay, theoretically, maknanya you brainstorm with your team and come out with the flow diagram. So now you have to check whether the flow diagram is correct or not. Okay, so how to check? Later on, when you have established, when you have conduct the production process, you have to walk through your production process and see with your own eyes whether your developed flow diagram on the paper are the same with the process that happening on the production floor. Okay, so sama tak, tally tak? Okay, so that is called on-site inspection lah of the facility and equipment and operation. So if anything is not correct, any deficiencies, you have to betulkan lah, you have to correct them. Okay, and correct the document. And after the flow diagram has been verified, okay, your coordinator ataupun team leader have to sign, okay, that the flow diagram is already correct. Okay, is reflecting on what is actually happening on the factory level, on the production floor. Okay, so that is the end of the lecture for this topic. Okay, so tomorrow we will proceed with the principles of HACCP, which is quite heavy lah. Okay, especially for the principle number 1. Okay, so I suggest for you to first read first. Okay, the notes in Putra Blast, and also please for the previous lecture yang saya tak buat visual tu, especially for the GMP, please baca, tengok, okay, because for you to implement HACCP, you need to establish GMP first. Okay, so this two system, GMP and HACCP, are complementary. Okay, maknanya kalau you punya company nak apply HACCP, bila nak apply for the certification, okay, persijilian HACCP, you akan jemput auditors. Auditors akan tengok dulu sama ada you punya GMP dah complete belum. Okay, after GMP is completed, then you can apply the HACCP system. Okay. Okay, so that's all for today class. Please do not forget to submit your attendance. Okay, so nanti saya akan bagi pembahagian tajuk mengikut grup sebab kita akan buat assignment berkaitan dengan HACCP, dan juga saya akan saya rasa saya ada bagi homework tentang presentation. So nanti esok ataupun minggu depan lah, kot minggu depan kita boleh start buat presentation lah. Okay, alright, that's all for now class. Okay, thank you class. Ada apa-apa soalan tak sebelum tu?
No.
So far no Okay, alright. Okay, thank you class.
Thank you, Doctor.
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 Thank you, Doctor.